Okay, so let's start now by creating one simple application in MVC. So this time we will try to show some simple objects data into the UI in ASP.NET MVC. And this application we will take it further so that we can have a CRUD operations as well. So we'll try to do create, update, delete with respect to the MVC application. Just to understand the structure. So in the test MVC application that we did some time back, I'm going to make small changes now. Model folder was empty. We haven't seen anything from the model right now. As I said in the earlier video, that model is something which can be a POCO class object as well. Simple plain old CLR objects. So I'm going to add one simple class now as a data holder. Let's name this class as employee emp, and this class will simply hold a few properties for us. Let's say employee has got a number, employee has got a name, and employee has got address. Now this employee class object will hold a data for us, and this data we will try to show into the UI. But as I discussed, user will not have a knowledge about model, and neither he will have a knowledge about the UI as well. User will always give a call to so-called controller. So who's going to bring the employee data object and a home based myview.aspx together? So that's the job of controller. So let me go to controller again, and inside the controller, inside the index method, before I return my view, I have to create an object of so-called model emp now. Let's create an object here, employee, no IntelliSense, because employee belongs to a different namespace now. It's a folder based hierarchy. So emp is a class, lies in models. So definitely the namespace is models. So we may say resolve, and you can see here test mvc.models, main project name dot models automatically comes up here. If you just still have to see it, look at emp comes from test mvc.models. Let's create an object of employee now. emp1 equal to new emp. And let's try to assign some values to emp now. Let's assign number equal to 10. Let's assign name equal to abc. And let's try to assign address equal to, suppose, some city like Pune. But then who wants to show this data? My view page wants to show that data. And my view is not aware of the fact that it has to go and show the data of employee. So then, comma, and we can pass on the model object, which is emp1. So we are going to specify to MVC now, return me so and so view along with this data. But who is specifying this information? Home controller right now. But then how will my view page even show that data to me? So I'm going to open myview.aspx, and if you notice, there was code which I authored some time back, but immediately I commented because back then I was not passing anything as a model. So if I uncomment this code now, yeah, if you see model, if I carry a cursor, model, it is shown to you as it's a part of dynamic, which means it's of type dynamic. And now when I say dynamic, it's a feature of .NET Framework 4.0. That is, dynamic type means it may not give you IntelliSense because model is going to get its value or type at runtime, which means we will be able to resolve what model is of type only at runtime. But then how will I code? You have to blindly code. And who decides that model is of type dynamic? That is decided by, you can say, top side generic parameter. So it conveys that this page has a model which is of type dynamic. So have a look at top, it's of type dynamic. Can I make a change by myself to get the IntelliSense? Why not? Instead of dynamic, if you know that you are always going to get employee class object, then why not provide full name of your emp class? And which means you are trying to tell now that this page is strictly going to represent data of emp only. If you say dynamic, no IntelliSense because it's going to get definition at runtime. But when you specify emp hard coded, you know the data which is going to come from the controller, it's always of type EMP. And in which way, if I carry a cursor, look at the IntelliSense. It shows you that the model is of type EMP right now. Which means if I say model and dot, you suddenly get IntelliSense now with respect to number, name and address. These are the properties that we talked about. So I would like to represent this model dot number, name and address in H1, H2, H3 format simultaneously. How do I represent this? Simple. You start with HTML code first. Let's say H1. But then inside H1, you only wanted name. So you specify, suppose, welcome. Who's that person? So you specify equal to, and then I want now model dot name, which means this is how you actually go and pass on the data from the controller to the UI. So I'm going to remove this now, remove this extra welcome as well, and then I'll have here H2 and have here H3, and instead of representing number or the name, I'll have number and I'll have address as well. And now these values will be given by controller. Controller will fill up the value, hand it over the value, and then the engine is going to go and get the data and create finally H1, H2, H3 along with the data content. So I'm going to comment this extra part now. This is MVC view, and then I'll have only H1, H2, H3. Let's give a call and see what happens now. So run now, and there we are on the UI, giving call to home/index by default, and we have welcome ABC, H210 and H3 Pune as it is available. And if I show you the view source right now, view source only can show you that it has got H1 with content, H2 with some content and H3 with some content, because browser by default understands what is that is HTML. So it's very simple. You just have to separate three parts: model, which is a class; controller, which will have a method which will create a class object, data class object, and will return the data to so-called, you can say, a view. And the engine, which is going to convert everything into HTML, is going to take a responsibility of taking the object, finding the data, and then showing it into the UI and constructing a full and final HTML for us. So next session, we are going to understand how do we go and return maybe some sort of, you can say, collection from the UI, from the controller to the UI. So let's stop for